Hello everyone, how's it going? It's good to be back here on the BluGuitar YouTube channel. Hey, my name is Emanuel, and I am the metal shred modern guitar guy of BluGuitar, and it's been a while, 6 weeks or so, that I've been here because we are very busy in the company doing all sorts of great things. And here I am back with a very cool topic. So today it's all about, movie scoring and the role that the guitar plays in this kind of music. It's very different music from the music that most of us like. We usually as guitar players are somehow related to rock and roll, to some kind of rock music. So the guitar plays a very, very, very dominant role there, right? And it can also play a dominant role in movie scoring, as we've seen in the James Bond theme. But yeah, it's a little different. Still very, very interesting. And yeah, there's a lot of different aspects to discover about this. So let's start with today's live stream. Everyone, are you here? Are you with us? Leave a comment in the chat to let me know that you are here with me tonight. I'm very happy to be here and to entertain you for the next 1 or 2 hours or so. So the first thing that I want to get covered tonight, because there's a lot of topics that we try to get covered tonight, is the community jam. So this is going to be great. We tried a very, very new thing at BluGuitar in last year's December. So we did a thing called the Community Jam, right? And that was actually a very, very cool event where we provided a backing track, and people were able to download that backing track, record a solo, audio and video, send it to us, and then at a certain point in time, we would, put all of these submissions together and show them to the world on the Christmas Eve live stream. So that was a great project, and we were so happy about everything. So we decided that this should not be the only time where we, where we're doing such a cool thing. So we decided that with today's topic, we are going to start another community jam, which is hopefully going as great as the first one. And there were a couple, there was feedback. So we do like to listen to our community, right? So the last community jam, I was, I think, the driving force behind that, let's put it that way. And I'm a metal guy, so I did some quite metalish backing track, right? That, what the aesthetics of it was metal. So this time, right, we're trying to also open up for those of you who are not too much into metal. But we also don't want to get short of some serious shred stuff, don't we, right? So yeah, we did 2 backing tracks this time. The cool thing is it's the same key, it's the same tempo, but it's just a slightly different arrangement. So you can choose between a James Bond style metal backing track and then a more classically arranged backing track. So you have the choice to pick whatever style you like, whatever track you feel more comfortable with, and then play in your style. I'm going to show you these backing tracks in a second to make sure that you guys see and understand what it's all about. So let me do a little bit of clicking and tipping here on my computer to arrange everything. And in the meanwhile, if there are some early questions about this project, let us know. So I'll show you these different backing tracks in a very, very short time. Here we go. So let's switch to this other view. Oh no, that's not the one I meant to choose. That's the one that it is about. So you've seen what you see here is my DAW. You have 2 tracks for the guitars, right? This is the track where the Amp 1 Mercury. That's the Amp 1 Mercury that I've set up right now. And on the other track, you'll see my Amp 1 Iridium, which does sound like this. Right, so I can switch between amps whilst I'm doing the stream. And then you'll see 2 different tracks, which I now am gonna play for you without playing over it. So just hear the tracks, both are roughly a minute long. And this is how the classic backing track sounds. I love the chord at the end. You know, the minor major 7 chord. That's such a cool chord to end off these, you know, spy movie themes. So that was our first one, right? I recorded the Guitarists with the Amp1 Mercury was in the vintage channel. There's only a little bits of gain there. The drums, you know, they do some action, but it's not super heavy with double bass and whatnot. I'm sorry. So I think, you know, if you're not a big fan of metal, you can still be happy with the backing track. Now let's get to the metal version, though. That's how it sounds, baby. That is the metal version, right? So we got the best of both worlds this time. Everyone can participate in this very, very cool event. The backing tracks are available in the description of this video. So we have 2 different links, both for those different backing tracks. And the submission deadline is somewhere in May, I think. You can check it out in the description simply. But you have about like 5 or 6 weeks of time, so plenty of time to get engaged with this track, and yeah, to take your time and put together a cool solo. All right, that's how these backing tracks sounds. So for those of you who may not have perfect hearing and are not ultimately experienced guitar players, let me explain a little bit, some bits and pieces about these backing tracks. So these backing tracks are in the key of E minor, and we utilize a couple of motifs that are part of the original James Bond theme, which first came out in the 60s. I think first was Dr. No, wasn't it, right? So it's actually a very simple theme, and if you don't want to go crazy on shred, you can also just jam along to the theme. You can put a solo over it. You can just play around with these riffs. So let me show you how to play that. I'm going to switch to the vintage channel. Oh, I'm muted. Let's unmute. That does sound unmuted. Yeah, so let me get rid of the reverb. Vintage channel. And this is kind of a single coil split setup I have here on my new Ibanez ASM, my newest guitar, which I've played a lot during the past 2 months. So it's in the key of E minor, right? So the E minor pentatonic will perfectly work on this backing track, and I want to show you how to play like the main riff, right, which goes like this. So very, very simple, right? It's almost, I'd say, like a kind of, I don't know, wannabe country kind of guitar tone on the original thing. So all you need is the E string, right? So you play the empty E string, and then you go to the 2nd fret of the E string, and then back to 0. And then we have the same rhythm, but this time we go into the 3rd fret after 0, and then back to the 2nd. So we got 0, 2, 0, 0, 3, 2. And then to the end, we play. chromatic run. So we're going from the third to the second to the first to 0. Right? And then we got the D string. It's the easiest way to play it, I think. D string, first fret, then 0. Make those notes ring into each other. It's a nice sound effect that you usually want to avoid in metal stuff, but this sounds cool here. Let it ring, let it bleed, and then we go to the A string. It's 2, 0, 2 on the A string. So a very simple theme, and you can do all sorts of things with it, right? So you can, don't play with octaves. If you're a little bit more, if you have some, good orientation on the fretboard, you can just put it to different octaves. You can, put some gain on it and then play it on a higher string with some vibrato. Can think about cool stuff. I did an open string kind of version in my metal. Whatever you feel like, right? It's very simple. E minor is a great guitar key. It's my favorite key. I think it's most guitar players' favorite key. So you can go crazy with it. All right, now that was just a little tutorial on how to play the main theme. Let's give it a try on the actual backing track. Let me just adjust something here. It's a little bit too noisy. So let's give it a try on the actual backing track. So I'm just going to play a little bit, I'm going to play the theme a little bit, and then I'm going to play some very, very simple pentatonic stuff, stuff that basically I think everyone can follow, just to show you that it's very simple to sound good on this backing track, because the backing track is so epic already, isn't it? So here we go. I think the backing track is too loud, isn't it? Let me turn up the guitar or turn down the backing track. Let's see. Still quite noisy. I can turn up the guitar in the amp actually. This should do all right. Adjust the volumes. Here we go. Except for the last bit, that was quite a simple run, wasn't it? So just some pentatonics playing along the themes, stuff like that is perfectly fine, right? To have a great time with this backing track. So that's the classic version, and I'm going to do a full shred version now on the metal track. How would you like that? So let's activate this. Let me also switch to the Iridium, by the way. So I have a cool lead guitar preset here. Sound, so it's some combination of different cap and pulse response that I have, which I find very cool for the guitar. Anyway, so that is the backing track of Metal. Let me quickly check. Yeah, also some volume here. So let me do a cool shred run on this backing track. So that one is for those, still the volumes weren't great. So to turn up my guitar, which rarely happens, but on this, arrangement, I always find the orchestral stuff and everything so immersive that I don't want to ruin it with too loud guitars. But anyway, right, if you like to go a little bit fast, a little bit heavier, I think that's the track to go. And we can, we're going to make a cool compilation where we seamlessly add everything together. It's the same key, same tempo, right? So it doesn't matter if you're a Telecaster country guy or if you're a full-on shred guy with a beard like mine, you can join this event. We're gonna have a great time, and yeah, I'm just happy to be hosting this. All right, that's it for the community jam. If you still have questions about it, I'm gonna be here for some more time. So yeah, feel free to post anything you do have in mind. Now, movie scoring, guitar, the topic in general. It's such a massive topic. We're not going to get covered everything today. But we have prepared, a great overview of different projects and things and methods and, just cool stuff that is related to it, really, that Thomas and I did or, do. And yeah, the first thing I want to show you is an interview which me and Thomas, our great savior of analog guitar tone, did last week. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick. Slept with an open window yesterday. Shouldn't have done it, but here I am. Now, we have this interview recorded, and this is what I want to show you. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, or opinions, approaches, and also some projects that we have done that do include orchestral and cinematic elements. Yeah, so I'm going to see that for like half an hour, and then I'm going to be back to show you some live action. All right, here we go. Hey, everyone out there. Hey, Thomas. How's it going?
Hey, good. Great to see you, Emanuel, and great to have a nice topic that is widening the horizon of what we are actually doing. It's music, it's guitar, and you came up with the idea of film music.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Exactly. So the role of guitar in movie scoring. And I came up with the idea back in December when I was working on actually your stuff. So you sent me a video of your band Rock Anarchy,
Yeah.
and there was a part where you played the James Bond theme,
Yeah.
and
It's always
exactly.
great. Yeah.
That's always great, right? So I thought about I thought it was such a cool move to have this in a rock show, and then I went into myself and thought that actually guitar, you know, does play a huge role in movie scoring actually, and that we should make a stream about this. So,
Yeah.
in general, what are your thoughts on movie scoring? As you also have some experience with this stuff, right? What are your thoughts on this related to the guitar?
Yeah. I mean, very briefly, I was doing quite a lot of movie scores for television, I have to say, not big cinema, but television. And this was back in the whatever 19 mid 90s, and it all started with my first instrumental album. And
That's
I
pretty
met,
cool.
yeah, 1993. And the thing is, uh, they liked my atmospheric and melodic approach. So I
Mhm.
seem to be able to create some atmospheres. And what I learned about movie scores is the action is the visuals are king. So my role as the musician, the composer, is to put the whole thing in a scenario, in a world, in an ambience where the emotion is carried out with the music. You can play with the role of the music too. You can when you watch great Alfred Hitchcock, for instance, music, you can see there's a lot of tension building up to something. If you would cancel the music under the movie, it would be some birds in the skies and there's no horror.
Yeah.
When but the music has a big role, and you have to be aware that the role is not giving information away when it shouldn't, but it has to be in sync with the action of the movie. And the thing about guitar is a great lead instrument. As we know, James Bond is great, or once in a time upon a time in the West, bow, bow, bow. I mean, it is. I mean, isn't that Black Sabbath?
Yes.
Bow, bow.
Somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a single note version of Black Sabbath, making the tension and the horror visible. But on the other side, I've done things like this, the oasis, which means very beautiful music, and you can create so many colors with guitars. On this, I played electric guitars, acoustic guitars. When you have the classic, the sun is shining, it's Sunday, everything
Yeah.
is good. Yeah, you have your nylon string acoustic guitar, and the world is in order. Everything is peace, happiness, and love.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So the first thing, when I think about movie scoring is the perception of society and people to this topic, because actually movie soundtracks, they don't have a genre, right? Other than, for example, when you say rock music, when you say jazz music, when you say classical music, right, they're mostly certain kinds of arrangements that could satisfy 90% of the genre, right? So a guitar player, a bass player, a drummer, likely part of every rock band, and then some have an organ player, and some have something additionally. But the foundation is always the same. When we're talking about movie scoring, right? It's like a whole creative playground that you can add a lot of different elements to, um, and the classic, or let's say the more conservative approach to movie scoring is orchestral music, right? This is deeply
Yeah,
connected to this topic. So everyone, including me, when you think about movie scoring, like the orchestra plays a huge role, right? But over the past couple of decades, um, these guys like Ennio Morricone and John Williams, right, who kind of did these very iconic classical themes, Star Wars, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, all these kind of arrangement, right? Um, they were also like added. The movie scoring industry was added by more, let's say, modern producers and composers like Hans Zimmer, for example, right?
Yeah.
Who then combined with different things. By the way, Hans Zimmer is always on tour with a full orchestra, and this is one of the most impressive and immersive experiences as a musician.
And he always has great guitar players like Guthrie Govan.
Like Guthrie,
Yeah.
And that's the first thing, right? So movie scoring doesn't have a genre, doesn't have a certain core setup. Orchestral music does play a big role, but it doesn't have to be, right? If you're watching like more, let's say, futuristic movies and games and stuff like Cyberpunk, for example, you don't have any orchestra in it at all. It's mostly electronic music soundtracks, and then
From my experience, it's also the arrangement. Of course, if you use an orchestra, you always sound like classic. It sounds like high. I would say old school Hollywood. It sounds big, expensive, and classic in a way. But you can also go totally minimalistic. You just have a guitar with a little reverb, or maybe even no reverb. You can make a statement by the sound that you produce. And the sound can be massive, the sound can be minimal, the sound can be very little information. Sometimes less is more. It's like I have moments where it's just like you wait for the one note that comes in, like there's a little bit of sound, almost nothing, and there comes one note, and that one note makes all the difference, because it's like a whatever affirmation, or points to somewhere. And in the next scene, you have action. You have a car race and a battle, and it's all over the place. You have hundreds of tracks going wild. I was booked once for Stuart Copeland comes back, and he had Ben-Hur, as a movie. And I had to play over some battle things, and he programmed a lot of shit, and even time signature changes. I mean, he's the drummer of the Police. He should know. He didn't know. He he just went for it and did all the stuff. And I had to play some lines on top of that he came up with while composing. And it was all chaos, but it was massive. It was, so much energy, the total opposite from the minimalistic approach, but all great,
Yeah. That makes absolute sense. This is kind of the difference between music that is made for consumption and the music that is meant to support moving image, right? While you said, there was a battle scene. So it makes sense to just go crazy with all sorts of different, stuff on the guitar and all the other instruments. Yeah. And you would likely not compose such a style of music if you were, to compose something that's made for just listening to music.
Yeah. Right? I can tell you that my role when he booked me was actually quite nice. On the phone, he said, I see you, whatever, Tuesday, 3:00 in Düsseldorf in the studio, Skyline Studio, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, save all your energy, no sex until it's with 3 women at the same time, all this kind. And then I came to the thing, we had a 4x12, and he was giving me a hand, lifting the 4x12, nice guy. And then I cranked up my amp, and I was doing feedback, like, wow. Can you do the Jimmy thing? And would you do that kind of thing for a record? Not really, but he wanted all that kind of craziness. He forced me into being crazy, and then which. It's a nice challenge. I wasn't prepared for anything. It's like, okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Well, sounds like a great experience.
Yeah.
So in terms of, the role of the guitar in movie scoring, I think the guitar can have two different main roles. Let me put it like this: the first the first role is like a kind of a side gig, and this is a very unusual scenario for us as guitar players who are coming from the rock music kind of style, right? Because we are always playing, we're playing in the first row on the rock music band. We have all our guitar solos and all of this, so it's very relevant. And then in movie scoring, part of movie scoring is to, in many situations have a very big and bombastic arrangement with a lot of different instruments, right? And this is also something, I mean, having mentioned Guthrie playing for Hans Zimmer, right? He's playing live with a Kemper or an XFX or something like this. And Guthrie is actually an amp guy. He is with, was it not Comfort anymore, but
Victory now.
Victory, exactly. He's with Victory.
Yeah,
He has a good, signature amp and everything. He loves to play it.
Yeah.
And then he explained, when he's on stage with the Aristocrats, which is a trio, right? He's playing the amp because it's his time to shine, and he can turn it up and go crazy with it. But when he's part of a 80-piece orchestra, right? This is where he really puts himself back. So I think this is the first role. Sometimes just guitar can make sense as part of the arrangement, not because the guitar really drives the music, but like you have 30 tracks running at the same time, and then you have two guitar tracks left and right, and there may be a nice effect to it or whatever. So this is the one role, and sorry, so that's the one role of guitar in movie scoring, and then the second role is, and we also have these spots sometimes, when we are actually, we're playing, we're again in front. So, for example, the James Bond theme, the guitar is very, very important for this theme. It couldn't work without it. It's kind of this wannabe country, kind of bass line there. So it's a very guitarish theme. It doesn't. I think it wouldn't work on a double bass or a violin like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, the way the guitar is arranged, it is the lead instrument. And the way also the melody is arranged in this low register tells you, I mean, this is low for back in the 60s. Remember, now with metal,
we have more strings now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, starting the melody on the lowest possible string on the electric guitar tells you, whoa, there's something dangerous going on here. And then also this kind of twangy sound had some impact on people because it's slightly percussive. It is, I mean, in metal music we would have all that the same aspects filled with saturation. Is doing similar things, but back in the days in the 60s when there was not that kind of heavy saturation, this was kind of the hardest thing to get. Let's get one of those cool guitar guys in and have them doing the evil, today we would say it's almost chugging, but I mean
I absolutely know what you mean.
Back in the 60s, this was
gent.
kind of, yeah, exactly, 60s gent.
Right. So I mean, and that's a kind of a rare scenario, I must admit, right? It's very rare that guitar plays the main role in a movie scoring theme. Now, let's talk a little bit about how composing movie scores, or generally how to compose like orchestral arrangements was back in the 90s, early 2000s when you did the job, and how it is today, because I think within 30 years there's a lot of things have been changing. So the references that you have built in your studio producer time, did you use orchestral elements on those?
Yes, these were the early days of samples. Remember, samples were invented in the 80s. Like I felt like this was like 10 years before I have done it. But I remember the first like synthesizers, and then the first samplers, like the emulator 2. this was a thing that I had to borrow because it was fucking expensive.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
can imagine.
today you have some kind of MIDI keyboard for cheesy 195 whatever euros or dollars. Yeah, here we go. And then you connect that to your whatever laptop or your DAW, which uses
USB
software.
cable.
Yeah, and this is all it takes. Back in those days, to own a device that could play samples was a thing. So I was happy that I was kind of the starting point of what we know today of DAWs with sample libraries. But I remember just shortly before I did my thing, you had to have that physical thing. So my first experience came from that. Remember the purple stranger, perfect stranger.
Uh-huh.
Tut, 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 tut. This is a Perfect Stranger song, was John Lord playing that emulator synthesizer. And for us, it was like orchestra samples.
Yeah.
You know, this was like, wow, this was unheard of. So me being like 10 years later, and it was affordable. It was quite some money still, but it was affordable. You had your own studio, and you had. I was lucky being a studio musician at that time, so I had friends that had that owned the first orchestral libraries, or they owned the first piano samples even. A piano sample back in the days. I remember one story here. I was driving to Cologne, comes all back now, memories, to Peter Gorges. Maybe some people know him. He's actually living in Bremen.
Wow.
Yeah. And he had the first piano sample sounds that were good for the DX7. I was driving to Cologne to his studio to buy a piano sample for like 200 Deutschmarks or whatever. You know, one piano sample, one sound. And so when I started to do my thing, this was kind of a couple of years later. So I had achieved my own little studio setup with a bunch of usable sounds, because 10 years before that, you had to be rich to be able to get sounds. So I had, with all my connections, I got some stuff for free, and of course black copies and not legal because too expensive. But I had an array of sounds. I had a few synthesizers, Roland Jigs P3, DX7, and and a bunch of reverb and delay units for the studio. So I had tools to create atmospheres and sounds, and I was thinking orchestral, yes, because when I started to do this job, I kind of re-engineered what I considered to be movie scores, or it's so I bought records from movies that I liked, and I listened into all the details and found out, nice trick. Okay, there's a brrr, and there's a bzzz, and there's a check, 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 and then so as we do as guitar players, we are inspired, or we kind of steal a little bit here and there, and then we come up with our own mixture.
Yeah.
And this was the way I was doing it back in the 90s. I didn't have the budget for a real orchestra, but I actually booked a few real players eventually, depending on the project. For instance, I had a project where they hired me for kids music. So
Yeah.
I had to come up with something super funny. And then, okay, you can do stuff on the guitar, but I needed a counterpart. So I hired a guy with a tuba. I don't know, is this a proper English word? You know, the big brass element.
Let me watch it up.
Yeah. And this guy came to my home studio in my
Tuba,
living
it's
room.
correct.
Tuba, you know, a thing like a huge umbrella. I put
Gosh.
some mic somewhere there, and then, you know, I told him, you know, can you play this line? So I composed everything, and then also I asked him to do strange kind of noises because they would be funny, and then I could move them around, and so I took whatever. And I remember other things. I had an acoustic guitar, and then I put a microphone there, and I was
I'll do in percussion.
yeah, doing a little bit percussion to have such an analog feel. It was not a real high quality sound, but it was doing the job, and I could.
High quality sound is it's relative, right? So
Yeah,
there's a lot of high, like the shape of you from Ed Sheeran, that song.
yeah, yeah.
Same thing. Someone just if it's produced nice, it can do
It's
the
all
job.
good. Yeah,
Well, that's very interesting to hear. Like back in the day, we were talking about like 30 years ago, right? So you had to have connections to get all the equipment because it was very, very expensive. You had to drive through all of Germany, right, to get certain synthesizers and whatnot. You had to have connections. You had to have
yeah,
a lot of resources, an analog studio to be capable to do all of this, and this has certainly changed. So nowadays, I mean, I'm not a proper movie composer, to be honest, right? This is not what I do, but I'm really into orchestral arrangements for metal, for the music that I do. So I do have quite some experience with it, and the band that I'm currently with, Skytribe, we have a lot of orchestral elements in our music. It's kind of one of the main, sound elements that we have, and I do everything with his keyboard. And I'm a very bad keyboard player. I didn't learn any, not at all, right? I can play just very, very simple chords and melodies, but it's all like guitar players thinking, and then I essentially look like a monkey who's playing the keyboard. and
same
and
here.
and and what I do is I have some very good libraries, and I start record something, an idea or whatever, and then it's all it's the timing is bad and some wrong notes are in there. So what I do is I go in there with this colleague here, and then I start
Yeah,
correcting things in the DAW, and this is how it's mostly working. And just to have a comparison, you have some of these MP3 files or WAV files of your orchestral music, right? So at this point, this is how Thomas, having a lot of efforts and resources and connections and gear and whatnot, made stuff sound in the 90s. And this is how nowadays, in your home studio with this and a computer, it would sound I mean, it has been a couple of years, let's say 2023. Right, so it's a huge difference how technology has progressed in time,
yeah,
and what is achievable with it nowadays. It's not that every decade has its charm. So you wouldn't produce music how it was produced back in the 50s or 60s when Elvis did it nowadays. So the audio quality can be considered bad nowadays if you just look at hertz and clarity and whatnot, but it has a certain vibe to it. So it's not that music from the 90s or whatever would sound worse than nowadays music. It just sounds different. and in 30 years, people will say that what I showed you would sound very bad with the resources that they have. But it,
Hmm.
like the accessibility, it's amazing, right? Like everyone can literally, get the orchestra home into the computer nowadays, and be able to start, producing stuff like this. Um,
Yeah. I want to make one little comment here. Being a guitar player like you, I have a very high respect for somebody that I underestimated a lot, Neil Young. I mean,
uh-huh.
you think of this guy. Okay, this is the, he plays two chords and he sings a moaning melody. But I don't know if you are familiar with Dead Man Walking. If not, watch it. This changed my view on Neil Young because the whole soundtrack of the movie is one guitar and sorry, at one point he has an acoustic guitar, and in the outro song he has an acoustic guitar and sings. But the main soundtrack is a '57 Fender Tweed Deluxe
Okay.
and an echo unit. Um, and was it an echoplex? Yeah, a tube echoplex,
Uh-huh.
and the noises from just making and then playing chords.
Yeah.
It sounds, the sound is as big as a full orchestra, including the noise of the machines, the
Yeah.
low. It's all part of the art. And fucking hell, this was one of the biggest lessons. Is like, if we use guitar and gear the way he has done it, very intuitively, um, we can do it even without all the orchestra stuff,
Yeah.
just with guitar sounds. And it's a black and white movie, so it is art. It is art. Black and white.
So
Jim
I
Jarmusch.
even go as far as this is not like composition, this is almost like sound design, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's sound design and it's actual performance. I mean, just scratching over the strings with some echo is part of the movie, and it's killer because the movie is black and white. It has such a dark atmosphere. The guy is dying on a boat, and then
Yeah.
it's. I'm just saying what excites me on movie scores in general is the range. You can go from anywhere, from the hardest, metal Hans Zimmer, big themes like Hollywood, whatever, catchy melodies and strong rhythms, up to performance art of doing
Yeah. Just
ping,
a
ping,
guy
ping,
with an
ping.
effects pedal, a guitar, and an amplifier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You just have to create your own vision and support whatever is the movie, or whatever works,
Yeah.
with. It's a
Makes
nice thing.
absolutely makes sense. So I also would have 2 cents on this topic on, how to start with guitar and movie scoring. But
Sure.
I think my way is more about, let's say, the music theory, modern Hans Zimmer kind of approach. But you guys, you know what? I'm gonna be live in a very short time. So
Mhm.
instead of just telling you about this right now, I rather show you how it looks on my DAW, how it looks with my guitar, show you how my approach is to that. How does that sound?
Cool.
Um, so Thomas, thanks for all your insights. We also see your other section later on in this live stream where you explain a little bit about your concrete approach on how you did things.
Yep.
So everyone's can be excited for that. Look forward to that. And yeah, I think let's switch to the live.
Yep.
Alright, guys, here I am back, live and in color, apparently. So that was a great time Thomas and I had there discussing, uh, different concepts and opinions about movie scoring and the guitar, the role that the guitar plays there. And yeah, it was quite interesting to hear also the approaches Thomas had, and the, let's say, rougher, approach that we was reporting about. And later on in this live stream, we'll also see another slightly shorter video where Thomas also, shows some of the examples he did. So if you want to see and hear that, you should, stay here until we get there. Now, I thought that, I want to introduce you to different approaches of, how the guitar can actually play a role in a movie scoring. So I made that clear in the interview. I think that it mainly has two different roles. The first of which is being part of a big arrangement, which is, quite a different, let's say, role that we as guitar players have. When you're coming from like a rock kind of music background, then as guitar players we're used to really be the core of the instrumentals, aren't we? I mean, no offense to bass players and drummers and whatnot, but the guitar riffs are just what sticks in people's head. I'd say if you change a fill in or two of Smoke on the Water, people would still recognize the song. If you change a guitar riff, quite hard, isn't it? So generally the guitar plays the lead role, and then the rest is supporting it. It's composed around it mostly, right? This obviously isn't the case for every band and every song, but I think this is how mostly things are running with guitar in rock bands, right? Same with the blues and stuff. Now, that's something that may seem a little bit, I don't know, underwhelming at first to many of you, to many guitar players, but I think it's something that you have to get ready for, experience yourself, and eventually you'll find yourself comfortable in this situation as well. So I am also someone, with age and over the years, I got more into sound design, obviously, right? So sound is very, very important for the guitar, but I was always coming more from like a performance-based background. So I was practicing a lot. This is why I got into shred guitar and this technical style of playing, right? Because that is performance-based. It's about your skills, it's about development, it's about technique, it's about all these things that you can develop. Now, with this, let's say, slightly more composition sound-based role in movie scoring, that's something that in the beginning I didn't really feel comfortable with, because guitar playing was about, it's almost like a sportive kind of mindset I had when I was younger. So wasn't really accepting, sometimes to take a step back, right? And then let the sound of the guitar take over rather than the player's skills. Does that make sense? I guess it does, right? Playing guitar in the style that I do, with a lot of shredding, there's something measurable. I don't say that to compare myself to others, right? But it's something measurable that kind of kept me motivating. So practicing with a metronome, right? I mean, it's almost like hitting the gym, It's like bench pressing 50 kilos and then 70 kilos, and eventually get to 100, and you have something measurable. You have numbers that very much display your progress, and that's quite similar with shred guitar, isn't it? Right? So you start at 100 BPM, and then you get to 120, and at some point you get to 150, and whatnot. So that is really something that always kept me motivating when it came to practicing the guitar. Now, there's less measurable figures that you can apply when you are this part of a big arrangement, because it's not about your skills, your development as a performer, but it's about how you make the instrument be part of the whole, right? So it's let's say, a very anti-guitar player-ish situation, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'd say that we switch back to the DAW, and we just try out different sounds with effects and stuff, right? And eventually we find something that, well, we may find enjoyable. So let's get there, right? So here is my DAW again. Here we go. And this is a guitar track I have here, and I'm switching to the clean mode of the M1 Mercury, and have it blended with a slight distorted signal. So this is how it sounds. I can turn up the volume a little bit. Right? So nothing crazy. It's clean and distorted blended together. So just the sound. Very boring, nothing. It's not fish, it's not meat, nothing to enjoy. Now let's put on some cool effects. So I have a plugin manufacturer here called Valhalla DSP, and they do some very cool reverb effects. So let's start with the shimmer effect, for instance, right? And let's try a little bit, and then see how it makes us feel as guitar players. Whole different story, isn't it? Right? So suddenly this blend of clean and distorted tone makes sense, makes me feel something. You know, so suddenly I want to try out different things, play a little bit. It sounds like something that's actually admirable. So let's play a little bit with these settings and see what it does to the sound. So reverb mode, let's go for big stereo. How does that feel? Right, so it doesn't really suit traditional guitar playing, like playing lead lines and chords and stuff. Does not really feel right on this, right? So let's go for a little bit more, you know, setting, tone dialing. Suddenly with this setting, I want to play all the less diatonic stuff. You know, I want to combine weird notes together. It's you know, and this is something that's actually very cool. You know, I mean, it turns this, you know, I'm in the key of whatever, and I need to stick to the key. It turns this kind of mode off in my brain, and it makes me just want to play random notes and see how they react to each other, right? So this is a cool. It also makes me want to play slower, actually, so I was even too fast. This kind of sound, you know, you really need to give some space to the notes. So I think this is kind of more the way that you need to approach this, right? Slow notes and let the sound take over. So it's a cool setting. Let me check if I can like add just another effect to it. So Valhalla does have quite some cool stuff here. I was playing around with it a little bit before the stream. Super massive. Let's add this on top. What does it do? So let's first turn off the shimmer effect that we had. So some type of delay added to it. We have different modes here. Let's try out some of those. Wow, it's really cool. Really cool. It's over the top. What else we got? I mean, I didn't try these modes before, so this is live. Oh, yeah. So quite big delays. So let's keep it this here, right? Let's turn on the metronome. It's too fast. Even too fast for what I have in my hat. Let's go to 90. It's too slow. My hat is very specific about it right now. So I had this line, which is play, which I want to record right now and see how it sounds. So let's go. I think this is quite cool. So let me record that. Start it all over again, right? So this is the basic line that we have. Boom, let's copy paste that. Right, so it's a cool foundation. It's not very much sounding like a classical guitar kind of thing. It sounds rather like a sound. It's basically it's a sound here rather than a guitar that's actually being played the way the guitar is played traditionally. Cool. So we have the sound stuff. So we now need to build something around that. So let's create a new track here, let's put some slightly distorted guitar on there. So let's go for the vintage mode. Oh, that's way louder. Yeah, so we have this. You know, I'm gonna do some slight EQing to this track, just get rid of some of the mids. Okay, so let's try to find a rhythm then, which feels cool with this arrangement. So what I hear in my hat is like a faster metric, kind of a clock sound, you know, tick tock, tock, tock. What's the note here? Sorry. Well, on the C here, okay. And then from the C to the B, which is weird to play the guitar. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna make something up here. So we can go like. Yeah. So it's not in the not slightly right in the right octave. So something like this, right? So we got. Last one was quite dissonant, so it sounds nice. Okay, so let's record that and see what we can sound design then later to it. Let's go. This won't record it. Yeah. So let's give it a faster, so like double time, you know. Yeah, so let's try that, and we'll eventually replace this later. Screwed up the last one. That's weird. That was too big of a cut, wasn't it? I need to cut it here. Here. Sorry guys, slightly sick. Okay. Right, so we got this. Right, let's go with these three turns here. Okay, cool. Now what I would do is, right, just to show you how the guitar can be part of a bigger arrangement. Right? I'm just organizing ideas right now. What I would do is take this and replace this through kind of a stringed instrument. So I do have a couple of libraries here, which I really like to use. So let's go for this one. So this is the Sign Player, and the libraries I use are called Metropolis Arc. Those are some of my favorite libraries. So Orchestra. Let's go for the let's go for the low string. So we really want to make this, threatening. Let's go for a spiccato patch. And my keyboard is right now not connected, so I'm just doing it the easy way by just drawing it into the DAW. Yeah, so this is quite low, and we started with what is started at? So with an right. Yeah, that's too low. So we push it another octave. Right, let's go for it and see how that, how these ideas translate into each other. Oh, why don't we hear sound? Well, that's... okay, sorry, I did do something wrong here. That changed the patch. So I want to have it on spiccato only. Sorry, let me fix this. So we're just gonna load the spiccato patch, which you have here, and then we can try out different things. Yeah, alright, here we go. That sounds better. Right, so this is what we got. So that's the faster part. Yeah, so we got 4 of those. Now let's quickly find the right notes. And do a quick dirty velocity adjustment. So we're not gonna win a Grammy for this, but it's just to show you guys how it works. I'm super sorry, my throat's yes, so let's go for the next one here. So we were in the D, right, and then in the end we had the weird one which we had C and then B. Yeah. So this should do. Let's get rid of some of the articulation. Cool. Now what we do is, just to make it a bigger arrangement, is to copy paste that very quick, and then we add another higher octave. Right, let's go in here again. So let's get rid of the low string part, and then we are getting into the high string part. Here we go. I just want to have the spiccato unison, right? And obviously this is not going to work, so we are transposing it like 2 octaves higher. Let's see how that sounds. It's quite high, to be honest. Cool. Alright, what I had in mind is to also use a pizzicato patch right here in the beginning. Oops. Cool. Let's take the same bunch of notes and then look for a pizzicato patch. How does that one sound? Yeah, that's some weird kind of pizzicato. So let's try another plugin. The camera. The camera is actually in the way. Riff, orchestral tools. What else we got? No, we have the nope. Let's take the BBC. That's a cool plugin. So we're going for the violence. Yes. So some pizzicato sound to it. And then we that's we don't have to. So we get rid of every second note that we have here. Right, so this is what we have. Okay, now that sounds cool. We'll move on with this in a second. Just want to add some exactly, that's really cool. So we put this then for the second part, put it here, slightly reduce the reverb on this, bam, exactly. Then we also put some reverb on the other tracks. I'm not going to do a full EQing, mixing kind of thing. I just want to have some ambience on those tracks, this way. I'm adding a little bit of reverb here. Okay, cool. So, yeah, let's mute this one. Let's get rid of the metronome. And by the way, we need more guitar volume, don't we? So I was recording it on a quite silent level. But we have a workaround. We can just compress it and then add some volume. Yeah, and then did not I have EQ on this? Delete that. Oh no, it's on the other track. Okay. So let's also get rid of some of the pick attack here, right? So this is again all about the sound design, less about the. Don't have the pick attack. All right. We add a little bit more of the reverb. And then we'll go. Right, this is starting to sound quite cool. I'm adding another instance of reverb just to make it sound a little, a little wider again. So we'll put this, and we're also gonna go to our concert hall. This. Yeah, for example, right? So we have some slight development in there. So, well, we're gonna go on with this in a second, but let me just check the chat, see what you guys what you guys think about this, right? Yeah, because we have some questions here. So I don't want to bore you guys, right? It's about guitar still, but this is a very cool scenario, very cool stuff to show you how it can work, how you can actually utilize guitar with this. So we have a couple of questions here. Are these plugins part of Logic Pro? Unfortunately not. The ones that I've just used are plugins that I've bought. They're third-party plugins, right? So yeah, those are not exactly part of Logic. Yeah, I mean, Logic has a huge, library of stock plugins that are alright to compose. But I think that, if you want to have more realistic sounding orchestral plugins, you should certainly go for third-party plugins, yeah. All right, I'm just going to go on because and there's a lot of we can add to. I just want to add 2 more elements. So let's go back here to this for like 10 more minutes or so. And then we're going to give it back to Thomas, right? So it was actually working quite cool. I have 2 more things that I do here in my hat. So the first is some kind of brass, so let's get back to the sine player, and let's get some horns, my bass trombones, also that one. I think that one must be funny. Let's go for a short crescendo. See how we like that short crescendo. Let's load that patch. Great. So we just solo it quickly. So this seems to be quite low as we can possibly get. Now let's turn off the effect for a second and see how it sounds. Yeah, that sounds quite cool. But this is, it's a short crescendo. So this is certainly, you get what they tell you. So we were at the bass trombones, and then we want to make it quite longer. So we go for a long crescendo, goodbye short crescendo. Let's see how that sounds. Doesn't sound at all. Oh, what's happening here? Let's try. We fill the bass trombones and then crescendo long. So let's see if that made any difference. Yeah, okay, that does make a difference. So let's see how to time this. Can be quite tricky with that's the app. Yeah, so we should get right notes. Yeah, actually quite cool. So we need to get rid of some of the attack. No, that wasn't that one, but this. So yeah, that's cool. And we'll even kill more of the attack in a second, but let's just get the right notes. So the F sharp is the next one we had. And then let's go here and go through the D sharp. And then what was the last one? I think it was the C note we had, right? Cool. And now we can do the trick again with the reverb, so we get less attack. Yeah, still the attack is quite high. So let's reduce the velocity. Also push these slightly forward because the crescendo really does mess up the timing. Yeah, so that's always a bit tricky to get these guys right. Okay, so we adjust the reverb slightly, make it a little bit bigger. We're getting there. We're getting there. So we start a little bit early. I think this kind of way should do. Cool. Let's make for the quick and dirty run. Let's take a second track of this. All right, so we got our brasses organized. Now let's get let's get to a choir. So let's do a quick round of choir. We actually just copy paste what the strings do. I mean, it's not going to be ideal, but yeah, just for the sake of being very quick with it. So in terms of choir, let's go for a contact patch. I have one in mind that I like to use. That's the Olympic. Yeah, that one's cool. So that's actually a very cheap plugin that I have here, but I bought this like 10 years ago, and still, you know, is good for just quick arrangements. So we can go for. Oh no, that's a quick one. We don't want to have the quick one. We want to ha ho, you know, this kind of vibe. No, that doesn't sound cool at all. So we go like. So like this, doesn't make sense. Let's get back to the click. Yeah, this is more of hat. So let's design some chords. Yeah, so something like an E minor chord. Yeah, so we have something like this, and then it can. Yeah, that does actually sound cool. So that rhythm. So we slightly adjust. So then let's take the next chord. Yeah, and we can make. Well, we can actually try to make a chord of this. So that's for a C major 7. Oh, let's try that. Okay. I'm just thinking, you know, what chords I can build from the notes that we in the. In the Oh, forgot the Try something like this. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, so we go. Sound like this, you know. So you definitely feel the vibe, you know. This is what it's about, like to create a certain vibe, and I mean the guitar can play a role in this. It's not, you know, this is exactly what I said. The effects, the sound design, just taking the guitar back in its traditional sense, rather than playing lead guitar lines and riffs and stuff like this, does certainly contribute to this. It's a different way of playing guitar, of approaching guitar. It's being part of a big kind of arrangement. And this is just the beginning. If I would give it an hour, you know, next thing I would do would be like, you know, like some percussion elements and stuff like this. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with it, and it's certainly great. And you know, if it wasn't for the guitar, something would be missing. The guitar is something that you can't really mess with. I mean, we tend to forget that, right? So all these like I'm sorry, classical orchestral elements, instruments, right? It is you know, the thing is that those instruments, they are very traditional, right? So it barely happens that, I mean, you know, like a cello or a tuba, you know, is played with effects and in a different style. The guitar, the electric guitar especially, is actually something that you can utilize for sound design, right? I mean, the way that we've played that we play the guitar, don't forget that it's a young instrument, right? The electric guitar. So it has been invented, I don't know, in the 50s or whatever, right? So in the 50s, you know, when the electric guitar was invented, right, was just to amplify the volume of an actual acoustic guitar. That was the first intention behind it. And now, a couple of decades later, which is not a lot of time for a musical instrument to develop, we have 7, 8, 9 string guitars, we have distorted sounds, we have multi-effects, we play muted strings, we play open strings, we play scratches and slides and whatnot, right? So if you compare the way that the piano is played, or that, you know, I mean, the brass are played, or that the saxophone is played, can go decades, even centuries back, and it's still relatively close to what it used to be, right? And the guitar is an instrument that perfectly serves for sound design, right? So it's great for movie scoring, where, you know, as I said, there's no set genre, but you can just make something that feels good. All right, we got a couple more questions. Were you using Spitfire audio? Yes, I did use Spitfire audio. And there's this one, something I can recommend to you guys, right? Spitfire Audio has the BBC library, which is a orchestral library. Oh, my program, you know, keeps showing thumbs up. So the BBC library, you should Google that, right? Spitfire Audio BBC library is for free, actually, right? So you can pay for it, but you have to like fulfill like a survey, and then you can, you know, put some information in there. And then a short while after that, you get a notification, and you can use that plugin for free. So BBC is not the greatest of all orchestra plugins, but there are a couple of cool sounds like the pizzicato that seem to work. So I'm not the kind of guy that you know, I have a lot of different libraries and plugins. So I try all the different sounds, and I tend to like the spiccato sound of one library, and then the legato sound of another one, and then the pizzicato sound of another one. So I'm trying to get the best of all the plugins that I use, right? But yeah, for getting started with orchestral sounds that are better than the stock plugins, right, I can certainly recommend the BBC orchestral library, because you get it for free. That's the reason. All right, Andreas. Yeah, DAW learning by viewing. Hardy, I'm happy that you learned something from it. Everyone feel free to ask questions. That's what I'm here for, right? Then Andreas Wagner wrote, "I wish I could work so fast with this program you do. Take me hours, but I'm trying." I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not the fastest with it anyway. I was about to set the guitar to the side, but because I'm even faster than my the cable of my MIDI key was broken, so that's very unfortunate. I'd be a little bit faster with this, but yeah, you know, thanks for this. I mean, I guess. I'm happy to show you, and if you can learn something from it, that's great. All right, cool. So I have a cool idea. While I will mess around with a couple of more orchestral tracks here for the track that I did and show you, I'm going to show you Thomas's interview, right? Thomas's other section right now. So Thomas actually has some experience with it, as he explained, right? Certainly back in the 90s and the 2000s, he did some arrangement for television, cooperating with a lot of cool different producers and composers. And yeah, there is a video that he sent me where he explains certain bits and pieces about his work with in the field of movie scoring and orchestral cooperations, and show some examples as well. So I'd say that we get to Thomas right now. I'll mess with a track and I'll show you the final result then in, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. See you. Hey everyone.
Yeah. My journey into movie scores started with my first solo record, The Beauty of Simplicity. I've done that record to make a statement of what I was feeling, doing, and it should be a guitar album, but it should have been a guitar album that it's not only whittling and shredding. And as we can hear, catchy melodies and some atmospheric stuff actually got recognized by a friend of mine, or later friend of mine, who was a director at the television at the ARD, First German Television, and he was making films for kids and teenagers basically. And this was a series of 6 episodes, and he kind of liked that first track, I'll Be There, of mine, and he chose that track as a starting point for that movie score. And I ended up doing all the 6 episodes and all the music, which was the background music of the film, based on this track. This is what he liked. And so I did a couple of different variations of the whole thing. Maybe I can play with something here. Okay, it's a typical catchy song, which was like the end of the episode title track, sung by Götz von Sydow, later producer of Lace Aldin, and so, all connected. Okay, next track. Okay, another one, huh? Whatever, some kind of atmospheric stuff. Slide guitar, bass. Yeah. It's all based on this song, and you can hear a motif for different characters in the movie. Yeah. And of course, this music is all tuned to the scenes. Anyway, I could use my bluesy stuff. I could use my Strat. I have also done versions with nylon string acoustic guitar and whatnot. That's an example how to work with one theme. You can play the one and same melody da 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 over major chords, over minor chords. You can play it with different sounds, all kind of things. And where did I all learn this? Well, by basically reverse engineering movies that I liked a lot. One of them was a French movie, Le Grand Bleu, Im Rausch der Tiefe for the Germans, or The Big Blue. Eric Serra was the composer. I was a big fan of that movie, and so I used that movie to analyze everything. I watched the movie. I was actually checking out what details he was using sound design for, what details he was creating melodic, non-melodic stuff, and so on. Another great one is Richie Sakamoto, Japanese composer, and we all know David Bowie. David Bowie was the actor in Morning, Mr. Lawrence, and the movie score was Richie Sakamoto, Japanese composer. I'm just a big fan of that theme. And then, hey, Lethal Weapon, Eric Clapton could have been, what was the song? I think it was with Sting and Eric Clapton. Bandits, German music, film, Verrückt nach Mary, all that kind of things. Hans Zimmer, Henry Mancini, all kind of different. Michel Portal, French guy. And I've listened to all kind of instrumental music through the decades, which has been used on movie scores a lot. And of course, there's Bond, James Bond. Then there's more like Rush, The Lion King, another great, Vangelis, Local Hero, Mark Knopfler. Of course, I was listening a lot to guitar players, how they were dealing with movie scores. Lethal Weapon 3, Hans Zimmer, everybody knows him. Rain Man and them all. Some German stuff, I guess it was. So, reverse engineering is a good thing to learn. What are others doing? Why are they doing it? And what works and what does not work. So after the Oase, I have done another one, which was Hart an der Grenze, which is this one. Again, one of my instrumental tracks, and then variations of that and freestyle worked very well. Again, as an album and a single coming out. Then I had connection with the television. So the ZDF, was it? Yeah, Aktuelle Sportstudio, which is the first biggest German sports broadcast. They used a track of mine besides Bill Champlin and other things for the music for their Holy Grail goals. I listen to, all kind of classic stuff as well. I got compilations for inspiring. And while doing that, another thing opened up for myself, which was doing library music. Library music is basically you make the music first and you do several edits, like a short one of 10 seconds, then 30 seconds, then 1 minute, and then a full length of music that can be used in advertising and film. So I've done 2 of these records as well. And this made me some money. Honestly, was a good job back then. I don't know if this is still relevant today, but I made some royalties out of that and my movie scores. Talking about movie scores, I played film music. I played the Bond theme with a full orchestra, 80-piece orchestra. And yeah, that works. And Fanfare for the Common Man, License to Kill. It's a good thing that brings together, a classical orchestra and a rock band film, because we all have that in common. So I came up with arrangements that worked for both ends and was not only just a few chords from a huge orchestra. Another thing I have done is a pitch which never came out for a great movie, Lara Croft. Aha. Tomb Raider.
Excuse me when I introduce myself. My name is Lara Croft. Am I addicted to danger, or do I like my job? My name is Lara Croft. Once you start, there's no turning back. You have to find out and find yourself dead. My name is Lara.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pitch. Somebody else got the song. This was not a finished production, but a demo, how to get there. And I was lucky to get hired by this gentleman, Stuart Copeland of the Police, when he did Ben-Hur as a huge production. So I played for him. Somewhere is a CD, hopefully, in my archives. I don't know where all the stuff is. Yeah, I had many good times. It was sometimes hard work, but it was a nice phase in my life doing such music. It was opening up my horizon for what is orchestration in general and how to work with other elements. And me being more on the softer side probably than Emanuel, I could use my style, my colors easily, no problem. And as you can hear, I even went for a little bit harder stiff stuff, but this is nothing compared to real metal. Okay, these were my wise words on movie scores, film music, and orchestration. Cheers.
All right, everyone, here I am back live in the studio. So I rewatched the whole thing, obviously, with you, and I very much enjoyed the experiences that Thomas shared. So that was very, very cool to see as well. So whilst I was listening to the interview, you guys did do some busy writing in the chat. Yeah, some people didn't know that Thomas did these kind of soundtracks, and I mean, Thomas did a lot of stuff. I also don't. Sometimes when we have our meetings, usually on Friday, people tell me that Thomas played and with this artist or this band. I don't even know it, and I see Thomas every week. So he did a lot of music in his life. That's for certain. So that's very, very cool to see and hear. Now, whilst Thomas was explaining about his experience, I did some more arranging here, and let's go back to my DAW because I felt that you guys did like what I did here. I'm not done with it yet, but I've added a couple of more tracks. So we will now do some more arrangement in the meanwhile. So what I did was percussion that got really important for the track. So another thing I wanted to do is I wanted to get these choirs a little bit lower to then have a cool effect. Yeah, that's low enough. Cool. Let's also double that. And yeah, a couple of more pieces. So let me show you what I did here, because I think you guys did enjoy this and like to know what's going on here. So first of all, I arranged this percussive track. So percussion is very, very important in cinematic scoring nowadays. It's very important. It's one of the most important aspects. It's vice versa. As with other genres, it's very, very often the rhythmical stuff is what makes these soundtracks great, isn't it? Right? And drums and percussion are rhythmical instruments. So let me show you what I mean. So let's get back on one of these tracks with the amps. As you can hear, you can. Right. So, for example, let's say the Mission Impossible soundtrack, right? If you only had the rhythm. Right, it wouldn't be the same without the rhythm, right? The notes, I mean, could be other notes. Notes are also very cool, but the rhythm is the very, very important aspect about this theme, right? And that's with a lot of cinematic themes. Let's say, Pirates of the Caribbean, right? It's the rhythm. Right? The rhythm is what's driving the whole thing. So you can literally create a lot of atmosphere with cinematic drums. Also, like, the sound design is great nowadays. You can create so much aggression and drive and tension and development with modern sounding drums and cinematic scoring. So, great thing. So I added a couple of drums here, right? So those are the drums I have now added, and you will hear them on solo. You certainly hear them, you know, increasing in tension. Right, so I mean, again, we must, you know, if it was a proper production, with no good in just the velocity and all of that, but let's just keep it for what it is right now. So I added this, and then the second part I added was, well, we had the choir, right, when we were here together. So I did some adjustments to the and then I did a cool thing to the strings. The strings playing some. Right, some chromatic lines in the strings, some you know, rhythm. You know, the notes. I mean, the notes do matter, but you know, it's what you hear is the rhythm. That's the thing that stays in your head, right? And when I wrote the guitar theme an hour back with you guys, right, I was telling you about the clock that I have in my head. You know, it's sort of a clock. We're running out of time. It's very tense. So this is the clock represented by the percussion. You're running out of time. This is what I want to represent here, right? So yeah, I mean, and I have one effect here somewhere. So it's not mix and nothing, but let's like, you know, let's hear how it sounds right now. Let's just quickly check some. I think level should be slightly higher. This, I don't want to boost the attack of the guitar so much. So something I usually don't do. Let's put the. Oops, no, that was the wrong plugin. Let's try to put the compressor to the end of the signal chain. See what that does. Okay, sounds about right. So, just one quick check. Are you guys with me? Are you still here? Are you still listening? So are you guys there? Leave a comment. I want to see at least one comment, and then we're gonna, you know, check out the final arrangement of what I made here. So a lot of cool comments by you guys. I want to see if you are still with me. Are you with me? Let me know. And in the meanwhile, I'm gonna shred. Right, we have some comments, so we fulfilled the criteria. Let's go. Watch what I did there, right? So I'm always showing the wrong screen. You don't care about the technical details, do you? All right, this is my arrangement. Let's hear how that sounds. And that's it. You know, everything started with just a couple of notes on the guitar. I mean, and this is something, you know, I've now for years and years I've been observing. I didn't want to this thing didn't want to get in my hat when I was younger, you know. But I've seen. I'm a huge Hans Zimmer fan, and he's playing with Guthrie as I discussed with Thomas in the interview. And then there was always the second guy on the guitar. I don't remember the name, but right, he played guitar on like the Inception themes and stuff like it. And it was always so simple. Right, when Hans Zimmer, for example, he uses very simple guitar themes in his music, and you know that's what a guitar is great for. You build a melody. You use modern sound design by using effects and different styles of playing and all these kind of good things, right, that you can do on the guitar that you can't do on other instruments. And it may sound a little bit, you know, let's say boring when it's just on solo. But if your head's working and you have a vision of how you can, you know, make the guitar be part of a huge arrangement, the guitar is an invaluable part of the orchestral signal chain for movie soundtracks. And this is quite the, you know, this is the message I wanted to get across today, right? We have to, in some situations, as guitar players, like kind of accept that the traditional way to play the instrument that we're used to play the instrument for the past couple of, you know, decades is not what we need to create good music, right? And good music isn't defined by the speed or the feeling or the not the timing or what. That's not always the case, you know. It's sometimes just very little, and then, you know, set into action by other players that can also contribute massively. In this case, the orchestra, right? Yeah. So that was. I mean, that was. I think a cool project, and I hope you guys liked it. A little bit different to what I usually do, right? Usually I play a lot of notes. Today I play quite few notes, but hopefully you now have an idea if you weren't familiar with this before. But you know that, you know, you can create some great movie soundtracks and get ideas and develop great movie soundtracks with just very, very reduced and you know, very, very decent guitar ideas in the first place. So guys, we're approaching the end of the live stream, and maybe you do have more questions. If that is the case, this is the last chance to dance. I'm not going to be here for, you know, I'm not going to be here for a long time. So if you have a question in your head about anything that's related to playing the guitar, about these great amplifiers, about movie scoring, whatever, this is the time to post it. Because I'm a sick man, I need to go into bed. So how many guitar tracks did I put there? Nothing. I was just a one guitar track which we have recorded together an hour ago. So it was just these couple of notes, you know. If it was just that. And that's the thing, you know, if I play like this on the guitar, no one would play like this. Like, it sounds like, you know, trying out the fretboard, trying out different notes, not knowing what to do. But if it's set into action by an orchestra and effects and everything, sounds great. So that's all what I did. One guitar track with a shimmer reverb and then an extra reverb to make it sound a little bigger. All right, Julian Carswell, but we are English here, so we call it Julian Carswell. This was great, loved it. Thank you so much. It's very well appreciated that you say this. All right, Thomas did write, see here the full picture arrangement and you find your role to create magic. That's absolutely what it's all about, isn't it? Master Rife, whatever. Yeah, he's a little bit impatient, let's say, concerning the amp X. We all are looking for it, but I can certainly confirm that the guys in the office, they are running up and down the walls. They're going crazy. They're doing everything they can, right, to finally bring you amp X. It's a new kind of technology, amp X, and it's a new innovation. It's unlike every analog amp, it's unlike every other digital amp, and if you're innovating new things, you just need to put in the time. I mean, that's how it is. We all are waiting, but I guess that the wait will come to an end very, very soon, and Thomas and the team, they are doing everything they can to finally bring it out. RP90's boomer pickups. Lemon Lust. I mean, can be considered boomer pickups. I am not into P90s, to be honest. I don't have a use case for that. I like to shred, and I like to have guitars, for studio jobs, which I can create a lot of sounds with. So I'm not really into P90 guitars. I'm into humbucker guitars that I can split. So I'm not the right person to answer that. Maybe eventually Thomas is, or something that, I mean, on behalf of BluGuitar, I likely can say is if you want to know something about pickups, you can also just feel free to call Andreas Kloppmann, because I am a Kloppmann endorser. BluGuitar, Thomas Blug is a Kloppmann endorser as well, and he even has his signature sats with Kloppmann, right? So we all trust Andreas Kloppmann when it comes to pickups. If you have any questions about that, give him a call. He's mostly in the company during business times, so you can talk to him straight. So that will be a great idea if you want to know more about P90s and all sorts of pickups. All right, Amp X is the thing. It's going to be the thing, and I'm impatiently waiting. I'm asking Thomas every week for my copy of it to come. So we all have to wait a little bit more, but it's going to be worth the wait. It's going to kick some serious ass, I must say. Yeah. All right. Gunnar Sohn wrote, when you're writing guitar parts for movie scoring context, how do you decide whether the guitar should stand out as a lead voice or blend into the overall cinematic atmosphere? Well, it's a very big question. So my inner teacher now wants to explain 90 minutes of what I think about this, but let's keep it short. So the issue with movie scoring, and that you really have to learn the hard way, there's no shortcut to it, is that movie scoring, again, it's not a musical genre in that sense. So everything is allowed. And it's all about trying out different things and hearing something in your head. It's the balance of this. So the lead guitar can stand out, as for example in the James Bond theme, right? The guitar theme is very present there. It can just be part of the arrangement in the background as an Inception, sort of the Inception themes. I think Hans Zimmer did use a lot of electric guitar on there. And there's no right or wrong about this. It's a little bit different with other genres, if you were to play the blues or the rock or whatever, right? And certainly the guitar has a set role. It doesn't have a set role in movie scoring, and there's no answer to this. That is just something which is personal preference. That's something which you should just try on your own, really. So me personally, and now I'm telling you the answer that we as guitar players may not want to hear, but my personal preference is that guitar should mostly be not in front. When and this is not because I don't like guitar. My life is about guitar, but I think that the guitar, other than any other instrument, is the most expressive instrument that is existing, right? Every noise, when it's played with gain, the electric guitar, every noise you make on it, is amplified and translated into sound. And this is a great advantage when it comes to combining it with more extensive sound design, which I just did, delays, reverbs, effects, whatnot, right? So there are other instruments that can do the traditional melodies, and they sound very, very epic and very, very cool in a movie context. I really like the, let's say, Hans Zimmer school of things, with modern sound design, but mostly more traditional instrumentation and arrangements, right? I don't really like only electric synthesizer movie scores. I really like the orchestral stuff combined with modern sounds. And the way that the guitar fits in there is by showing its great quality to be combined with different effects, right? So rather than making it the lead guitar and making it play melodies in front, I would like to have it somewhere in the background, where you maybe can't hear everything it does, but where you can feel everything it does because it is part of the sound. That's my 50 cents. And there's no right or wrong on this topic. Sorry for this vague answer. Andreas Wagner needs an Amp X. We all do, my friend. So we are all waiting impatiently. But let's just keep being together, keep waiting for it together, and we'll be very happy when it comes out. Okay. Thank you very much and stay well. Gute Besserung. Thanks, my friend. Thanks for your kind words. All right. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. It was great fun. This was a little different, right, from what we usually do. The guitar in a different role. But, this is also part of this great instrument, right? This whole channel, Thomas BluGuitar, everything is about... It's everything about the guitar. Because you can do so many things with it, and showing all different sides of the guitar, and this was, a perspective which many of us may not be used to, but I think it's a very great one and a very interesting one, and maybe some of you guys will now start to throw effects on your guitar and play some simple lines and eventually compose some great stuff with it. I hope you will do. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to leave you with, again, the Community Jam playthroughs of Thomas and me. So let's keep that in mind. Last thing I want to talk about is we have the Community Jam number 2 being live right now. In the description of this video, you can download 2 backing tracks, a heavy one and a more classical one, and you can solo over it. And hand it in, send it to us, and we will make a great BluGuitar family compilation next month. I'm sorry, next month. And everyone can be part of it. Doesn't matter if you're playing the guitars for 20 years professionally or if you just started out a year ago. As long as you have a BluGuitar device that we can see in the video, you can be part of it. And we are thankful for everyone to participate in this because we just love being in touch with you guys, with our community. This is what makes BluGuitar great. We are listening to our users. We are interacting with our users. We care about you. You care about us. We are talking to each other. And, we just want to celebrate this with the next Community Jam. So links in the description. You have about 5 or 6 weeks time. So everything is relaxed. Download it, have some fun with it, and yeah, that's it. All right, let's see Thomas's and my solos for the Community Jam, and then I gotta say good night. See you soon.